Hi everybody, Levi Clay here, and boy do I have a cool gadget to show to you today. So I just recently ordered a rolling bender made by the company Rolling. Those of you that have followed my channel for a long time know that I'm really into country guitar, but I'm really into pedal steel guitar. And because of that, this idea of being able to play chords and have different notes in the chord bend, like you can on a pedal steel where you have foot pedals and knee levers in order to move notes around. And in fact, just listen to this, ridiculous. So I've always been fascinated by guys like that, and listening to guys like Buddy Emmons or Paul Franklin play. They're just incredible ways of expressing themselves, and it's hard to do that on the guitar. You can opt for a B bender. Of course, I have a guitar with a B and a G bender on it, and those tend to be very expensive to install, complicated pieces of work that require routing through the back of the guitar. And depending on the designer, the Joe Glazer and the Charlie McVeigh ones go under the pickups. So that's a great design. But unfortunately, they're extremely expensive to send a guitar away and have one put in. This lovely little device, as I say, made by Rolling, is a retrofit palm bender. So I have it set up as a B bender right now. Though in theory, you could order their G bender if you wanted the Brad Paisley thing going on. And essentially it is, as I say, no modification. It's a retrofit, no modification required. It literally is a case of just taking the saddle out of the guitar that you already have in the guitar and switching this one in. It takes a little while to intonate, but from that point, some simple screw designs. This lever moves down with the palm, and doing that will pull the string up to your desired pitch. So I think you could probably set it up to be able to pull it up a minor third if you wanted to, or a semitone. I, of course, like I say, have mine pulling from a B up to a C. So I pluck the string, and then as soon as you press this, that's pushing or pulling the string sharp. Now, why would you want to do something like this? Essentially, you can bend notes in the middle of chords, and that's what I really like with this. If I take like an E7 voicing like this, the note on the B string, so the note D, the flat 7 of the chord, it would be great to be able to bend that note up a tone. And I can do that now. It's just a really pleasing sound. Classic country cliche that you will have heard many times. Of course, you have your typical So yeah, is it a perfect design? It's a tough one to say. There are other companies that make similar bender designs that you can fit to your guitars. This is the only one that I've seen that doesn't require any sort of modification whatsoever, which is a real appeal to me. It's something that I wanted to try out, and if it wasn't for me, I had the option to take it off the guitar without having holes left in the guitar. The downside, when you compare it to something like the Hipshot bender or the Duesenberg multi-bender, I'm really keen to get one of those actually, is the lever for this points that way. And the downside there being, if I just move my guitar up so you can see this, strap's not short enough, it's just... Downside being that in order to actually apply that bender, I can't have my hand here where it would normally be when I'm playing. The bender is out of action there. So if I'm playing regular guitar, if I want to play a bent note, I need to move my palm back here. So it does require a slight adaptation to your normal way of playing, but it's not something that's completely impossible. In fact, when I'm playing with it, and it's very new to me, to be honest, there's still a lot for me to learn about using this thing. But when I am playing it, what you'll notice is I do have my palm a little bit more back here. Now, there are drawbacks to that. It means that I cannot really palm mute the guitar when I am playing that low, playing with a palm bender, and that's a shame, because it would be nice to be able to play something like an A sus2 and bend that up to an A when doing the Travis picking thing. So if I'm going, I want to be able to go, get rid of the pick, much easier. And that's not too tricky to do. But the problem with that, of course, is that I'm now no longer palm muting the low notes on that, and getting that tick-tacky is a really big part of the Travis picking style. So although this is awesome and I'd love to be able to use it for more things like that, it's not overly practical for things like that. But like I say, you can get all of the things that you would like. So tips that I would give you if you do install something like this, we'll come to the downside of this in a second, any sort of B bender, essentially what you're looking at is playing vocabulary, playing typical chord vocabulary, and bending into one of those chord tones. So if you think, if we're playing in E, if I play this E triad voicing here, that's 9, 9 and 7 on the G, B and high E strings. That'll be an E major chord. Now if I take the note that's on the B string, which is the third of the chord, our G sharp, move that down a tone to F sharp. Now of course you could call this an E sus2 triad, but I'm just thinking of it as being bending into the chord. So I'm going to play this chord and then use my bender. And there's no way practically to do that on the guitar. You can't bend notes in the middle of chords. You can bend notes on the bottom, depending on the voicing. I played one earlier. You can bend notes on the top, but bending the note in the middle of the chord is impossible. So it's a nice option. Now, of course, you don't necessarily need to bend into chord tones. You could take something like this E major triad voicing here, as B, E and G sharp, and I might play which is pretty cool. You can, experiment with that. Generally speaking, I like to play around those triad positions. So now if I'm in that open position and I bend this note up, now I'm playing the 5th of E and I'm bending it up to the 6th. So this is going to give you an E6 chord, which is kind of cool. Now I use that to my advantage higher up on the neck. If I'm playing the same E triad up here, but instead of playing the E on the high E string, I'll play D, which is the flat 7. Quite in tune there, right? So yeah, it's extremely fun. I really can't I can't really express just how much fun you can have with this. That's me playing on an E chord, and I've got all of this vocabulary that covers the entire neck, right? I've got an E I can play here, or here, or I could play here, or here. That sounds really cool if I put the third on there. Here, and I could play here, or back where I started. You could even use it in a pentatonic scale. And then, of course, if you can change chords, then you can outline chord changes, and that's really the most magical thing of all. If I take something like new strings. D, G, and A, I can outline those chords, right? I can play D, G, and then A, to G, A, so there you go, lots of, I'll be honest, this is improvisation, right? I'm just playing around with the thing. I've only had it for a few days and I'm having a lot of fun with it. So now to the real drawback of this. This is not a cheap unit. This retails for, are you ready to turn the video off? $150. That is a lot of money. That is an astonishing amount of money for what it is. And for me personally, after paying that $150, which I paid in full, I also had to pay $35 postage to the UK, and then when it did get here, it cost me another £40 in import charges. So all in all, you're probably looking at the best part of £200 for this little device. Now, I know most of you probably are no longer watching this video, and I do understand that. It is definitely one of those things where it's a specialist thing, and to be fair, that's why it's so expensive, because if they were selling many more of these, if they were selling hundreds of thousands of these, you could manufacture it in bulk and the cost would come down considerably. But all in all, I do think it's a great piece of kit. I genuinely do think it's a great piece of kit. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and it will probably appear in a lot of audio recordings in the background for faux pedal steel parts. So definitely a big fan of it for that. The other downside, I guess, and this is probably the biggest shame of all, is I did reach out to Rolling to ask if maybe we could come to some sort of arrangement. Unfortunately, they weren't interested in that, and that seems extremely short-sighted to me, just purely because, I mean, their YouTube channel has like 700 followers, maybe. I could be making that number up. It's a tiny amount, and the video qualities aren't great there. And of course, not that there's anything inherently wrong with that, but it's certainly the kind of thing that I look at and say, well, just how seriously are you taking this product? Is it something that you're going to be supporting in the long term? If something went wrong with this, if I needed a replacement part, is that something that I'm going to be able to reach out to you guys and secure? So there you go. Having said that, there is an upside to this, or something slightly more exciting. You can actually fit a B and a G bender on your guitar. You could have two of these saddles on your guitar. Now, it would be difficult to operate two of these levers in the same place, but they have a solution for that, and you can actually set these up to be belt levered. So there's actually a little hook loop here, and you would connect a wire to that. You would need to modify the guitar for this. You'd drill a hole, it would go through the back, and then it would attach to your belt loop, and then you would do this to pull the string. Now that is it might sound a bit ridiculous, but it's actually a relatively common solution for benders that operate on the bridge of the guitar. If you look at the hip shot bender, for example, they have one of those where it connects to your belt loop, and you do this and it'll do what it needs to do. Anyway, I thought it was quite a cool device, and fortunately, because I'm supported by some wonderful people over on Patreon, let me bring those guys up here. These people are awesome. Because of people like this, I can actually justify spending nearly £200 on a silly little gadget just to see what it's like and to tell you guys about it, because of course the end goal of this is for you guys to be interested in some of this stuff. So if this is something that is of interest to you, do go and check it out. It's a lot of fun, and if you are if you're a professional full-time player and you're serious about playing some cooler country vocabulary, this is not necessarily a bad thing to have in your arsenal. I'm a fan of the product. Let me be super clear. Let me summarize. I am a big fan of the product. I think the product is great. I think the price is outrageous. But yeah, very cool product, and I would recommend you go and check it out. So thank you again to my patrons for supporting the channel. If you would like to be like those people, you can check us out on Patreon by clicking this button up here. Get lots of cool stuff, access to my private patron-only Facebook group, along with some transcription challenges, tab downloads, and you get to make suggestions. You can even have private lessons with me over there, so lots of good stuff. Subscribe by clicking this button, and you'll see 2 more of my videos here and here. Thanks so much for all the support, guys, and I will see you for another video soon. Laters.